Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. Today is Wednesday, and on Wednesdays, I do my Q&A video where I basically answer your questions each week. And I didn't get that many questions, but in a way, it's good because one of the questions, I'm going to give a pretty good answer, like a fairly in-depth answer. So that's going to be pretty big. um, so it's just three questions. I'm going to get right into them. And if you have questions that you want asked or answered or whatever, put them in the comments below. So, and remember to always hit the like button and subscribe and all that kind of stuff because you don't want to miss these videos. There's going to be some pretty cool stuff being shown. Okay, the first question I should say, is probably going to be ultra controversial. Okay, and it's not my fault. Okay, I want to say this is not my fault. Okay, this comes from Collecto6. He's a friend of mine on Instagram. Actually, if you keep on watching this channel, I'm going to be doing an interview with him. He has one of the best collections that I know of. Just in like as comic collectors go, he has probably one of the biggest and best collections. It's just insane what he has. And I'm going to be interviewing him later in October. So stay tuned for that. But he asked, and it's his question. I know it's controversial, so don't get mad at me. Don't shoot the messenger. Uh, get mad at him. I'm just being silly. Okay, so the question is, who is the sexiest Marvel and DC heroine? Okay, who's the sexiest one? So I'm going to give you my opinion on this. And I'm basing it on what was the first two names that came to my mind when I thought sexy heroines for Marvel and DC. So yeah, so if you don't agree, that's fine. There's so many. There's so many. But the two that I thought of, now you'd probably think, oh, he's going to say Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is sexy in her own right, but she's not the one I was thinking. I was actually thinking of a very sexy character. I just think she was designed to be sexy, so she has to be number one, and it's Catwoman. I am a big fan of Catwoman. This is one of my favorite covers for Catwoman, Adam Hughes cover. Just really love Catwoman. I think she's awesome, and she's very sexy. So she was my number one choice for DC. Now you're probably wondering, who would I have chosen for Marvel? So for Marvel, I have to tell you, I'm married to an Asian woman. So I have a bit of an Asian thing. I like Asian women in general. So that kind of taints my opinion on this a bit, or colors it, or whatever you want to say. But it kind of makes me kind of have a bit of a bias towards Asian characters. And my favorite female Asian character in terms of her sexiness, purely based on sexiness, is Psylocke. I think, and if you ever see some of the covers for Psylocke, always awesome. It's just a sexy character, just cool character. I really like Psylocke. And there's a few others that I could have mentioned that I really like as well, like Sue Storm or somebody like that, or the White Queen. There's so many characters that could have been on this list, but my favorite would be Psylocke. I just really like Psylocke. I think she's sexy, got that whole Asian vibe to her too, and I like that. So that those were the two that I had. I'd be curious what two you would have chosen. One for Marvel, one for DC. Put it in the comments below, and don't kill me too much for my opinion on this. So that was my controversial one for this week. Always get in trouble, so I know I'm going to get like all these comments. Oh, you didn't choose this one. You didn't choose that one. Put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear people's choices about which is the sexiest female characters. Okay, the next question is a simple one, a little bit easier to answer. It comes from AX Crew. AX Crew. I think that's how he would pronounce it. Do you have any 1950s EC comics for sale? I did. And when I went to the Toronto Comic Con, I actually traded my the one EC comic that I had, which was a duplicate that I could trade and sell. So it's gone. So that was the only one I had, and it was Land of the Lost. Yeah, it was a cool comic. It's gone now. That was the only one I had. I have lots of EC comics, but I would never sell them until I get like a duplicate that's in a higher grade. Okay, so sorry, nothing to sell there. The last question, though, this is the big one, where I'm going to basically give you a sense of what comics are the ones that have the most appeal to me and the ones that I treasure the most from my collection from each of the ages. So I'll explain. Mary Greaves wrote, I would like to know what about your favorite books from golden, silver, bronze, copper, and maybe modern. So I'm going to show you 5 books from each of those that are kind of my favorites. So we're going to start out with, how should I do this? I'll go backwards. I'll go from modern to past, So I'm going to start with the modern ones. And some of these might surprise you. Some of these might surprise you because they're not all like the most expensive books. They're more ones that I actually just really like. I just really love these books. Okay, so the first is obvious. This is like the most obvious, so I'm going to show it first, is Zombie Tramp. I love this book. It's like one of my prize collection. Like a Zombie Tramp, #1, signed by Dan Mendoza, first print. Incredibly hard to find. I love this book. So this is my first modern key or book that is on my list. It's, I like Zombie Tramp. Another character that I really like, and the next one on my list, is Goon. I'm really a big Goon fan. I hope they actually finally make the Goon show or movie or whatever it's going to be. Definitely a great character. So Goon is the next one on my list. Not necessarily in order. There's no order to these, but just ones that I really like. The next one is Invincible, another modern age comic. Really great. Like, if you haven't watched the series for Invincible, it is amazing. Just really, really great story, and just kind of over the top gore and violence, but just really great. Invincible is a really great read as well. So yeah, Invincible, #1, first part of that. I'm a big Grail hunter or key hunter. Like, I always like to get that first appearance. So a lot of my decision making when I choose these books are based on the fact that I really love those first appearances. So that's, kind of going to be like, I almost give up on certain books that I actually do really like over having just that feeling of having that key, that big Grail key. So you'll notice that in this, where I show a lot of big keys, because I really am a key collector, like in terms of the way I search for books. But the next book is Bone. This is barely a modern book. It's kind of one of those ones where, could it be Copper Age? Could it a Bronze Age? Or Copper? Sorry, Copper. It was 91 that it came out. It's kind of modern, kind of like, but it's definitely one of my favorite. This was actually a book that I bought, and it was one of the most expensive books that I bought when I bought it. It was like $300. I thought, wow, that's huge money. Like, I got actually issues 1 through 4 for $300, and I thought, wow, and they were all first prints. And I thought that was big money. It was like such a big deal for me to get this book. I really wanted it. I just really like Bone and the whole story. So I have a complete collection of first prints of Bone. So I'm just a big fan of Bone. Jeff Smith, Bone. And the last one, this is a book that I felt like I really missed out on. And I was so excited that the price dropped. It was like, there was like a moment where for some reason this book became a little bit less valuable. And I was like so excited that I could kind of afford it. It's The Walking Dead, #1. I love this book. This is just such a great story. I was a big Walking Dead fan. I really like zombie movies and zombie TV series. I only really watched up to the sixth season though. I kind of found that it faded after that point. But I really did love the first season of Walking Dead was just amazing. I think it's some of the best TV ever. So Walking Dead, I just really love this book, and I was so excited that I got it on the dip. It was like normally that's like a $2,000 book. I got it for $1,000. I was like, wow, that's so awesome. So I was super excited when I won that auction. So the next bunch, let's slide those over, is from the, so we did modern. Now we're going to do Copper Age. So these are from like 1991 kind of to early 80s, 1980. So we're going to start out with kind of an obvious one. Probably a lot of people would put this one on the list. It's New Mutants 98, the first appearance of Deadpool. I love this book for so many reasons. Like, this was a big grail for me to get. I got this many years back, and actually I got it as an 8.0. You can see, like, it's not even a super high grade. But I was excited to get this book in my collection, actually. I thought, wow, you know, Deadpool, what a great character. I really, you know, to me, it's such a key character. And I just like the fact that it not only has like Deadpool, but it has all these other characters and Deadpool's dead center on it. So I just think that's really great cover for this one. And it just always loved this book. I always thought it was great. I was super excited to get that in my collection when I got it. Okay, so now we're getting into earlier 80s. This is kind of a placeholder because there's another bigger book that's coming that kind of is related to this. So this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #2. I have #1 that I'm gradually making payments on. Someday when my grandchildren grow up, I will have #1. I am gradually making payments on it. It's just taking forever. But I am paying for it, and I'm getting actually an 8.5 of #1 as well. And it's coming. It's coming. You'll see it in a future unboxing. So this is a placeholder. I really love this book still. It's #2. It's the first April O'Neil. It's got some pretty cool things going on for it. But I always wanted to get that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 first print. I always have to have the first print. I'm a very first print kind of guy. I don't like second prints or third prints. I'm kind of weird that way. I want to get it in that first print. So, but this is a great book still a great book. So yeah, so that's the second one from the Copper Age. This is another big book for me for the Copper Age. This is like, you know, first Venom. This is another, you know, really great cover. I think this is like kind of like iconic for Spider-Man for the 80s. This is like, you know, first appearance of Venom, but also it's like a great Todd McFarlane cover. You know, and it's Spider-Man with that black suit. Just so many things going for this book. And just even the design of it is just so brilliant. This is from 1988. And it's, you know, it's not a super high grade, but, you know, it's what I could afford when I got it. Actually, I had it before. Had it back in the day, and I sold it for $50. I had a high grade version of it too. So sad, you know, it's one of those things. It's, you know, you sell things and then it becomes valuable later. The next big book from the 80s that I really liked is The Crow. I was a big Crow fan. I just love the idea of the Crow. I always liked this cover as well. Just the black cover, just really awesome. So this is James O'Barr, or J. O'Barr, or did I actually say it? Yeah, James O'Barr. Yeah, I'm right. Just, you know, it's just such a cool book. Not a high grade. This is all I could afford, so I got this in that sort of lower grade. So yeah, I love this book though. The Crow #1, first kind of appearance of the Crow. I have actually his other appearances as well. Another big book for me for for the Copper Age is Albedo #2. This is the first appearance of Yasagi Jimbo, and I always love this. I think this is such a rare book. It's such a cool book to have. So I always was excited when I won this. And again, I was really lucky. I think something about the auction, it was just out of phase or something, like people just didn't bid on it. It was still expensive, but nowhere near where I've seen this book go. It was like in the $3,000 range rather than the $6,000 range. So I was quite excited to win that auction. Yeah, so this is Albedo #2, first appearance of Yasagi Jimbo from 1984. Really great book. And that's my 5 for the Copper Age. Now let's get into the Bronze Age. Now, Bronze Age, again, it's going to be key books because as I said, I'm a key collector. I do go for the books where it's a cool first appearance. And one of the cool first appearances for me, and I just love this cover actually, is Amazing Spider-Man and the Punisher's first appearance, Amazing Spider-Man 129. And actually, this one, I'm going to take it out of the plastic because it is actually quite nice for the grade. I don't think it was pressed. It's one of those ones where it's like, I don't even know why it got the grade that it did. I think it just needs to be pressed. It's got like some dent here, like some thing, and it maybe needs to be cleaned. But it could easily be cleaned and pressed and probably get a much higher grade, like a 6 or 7 even. It's just so nice, actually. It's really, really, I'm not sure how well it shows on the screen, but it's just a really nice copy. So this is Amazing Spider-Man 129. Actually, I even wrote between myself and the guy that originally had the book, and he was like, "Oh, I should have probably gotten it, pressed and cleaned before getting it graded," because he thought it was also much higher grade as well. So yeah, so this is the first appearance of the Punisher. I just think this is such a cool cover, like another iconic cover with the Punisher. I like when the first appearance has them on the cover. Another book that I always heard about, this book when I was like in the 90s, when I really got into collecting comics. This book was always kind of like one of those ones that people always would talk about. They would just like, oh, like the cool guys had this book. And, it wasn't like a mainstream character. It's only recently became a mainstream character. And it is Werewolf by Night #32, the first appearance of Moon Knight. And at the time, like back in the 90s, this was always considered like Marvel's take on Batman. And it was just like, all the cool guys were like, oh, you have to have that book. And it was always expensive. It was always expensive. And I just didn't have the money back then. It was not an easy book to find even. Yeah, I got this much later, much more recently. And I was super excited to get it. I got it before it had kind of been announced that Moon Knight would get his own series, and all the hype that happened. So I was quite lucky about when I bought it. But yeah, this is from 1975, first appearance of Moon Knight from Werewolf by Night #32. Okay, and this, I saved that one for last of this Bronze Age books. This is one that I always loved. I'm a big Scooby Doo fan. So this is Scooby Doo #1. I love Scooby Doo. I just think it's the greatest. This is a low grade. Really hard to get this book in high grade, actually. But just a iconic. To me, like growing up in the 70s and 80s, I would watch reruns of Scooby Doo over and over and over again. I was a big Scooby Doo fan. It's just something about Scooby Doo is just, it's fun. It's a really great series. I just always enjoyed it. So yeah, Scooby Doo #1 from 1970 barely makes it into the Bronze Age. This is actually one of my favorite covers of all time. I think this cover is just brilliant. It tells a story. It's just beautiful. It is just a wonderful cover, and it's a cool first appearance too, because it sort of has all those check marks for me. This is House of Secrets 92, the first appearance of Swamp Thing from 1971, and this is a Bernie Wrightson cover, and just a really great book, a Len Wein story, just a one of those ones that I love it because of the misdirection it offers. So you see, Swamp Thing coming in through the window, and you have the woman, and her face is lit up like there's like light coming, just has that kind of creepy horror element to it, and you think, oh, the monster is coming to kill her. And that's the misdirection of this cover. It's just, I think that's so sweet. It's just so nice, and you got the moon in the background. And it's the purple really is quite nice as well. I always love this book. Just a really great book. Honestly, one of my favorite covers of all time. So this is House of Secrets 92. And last, this was a grail book for me. And this is a grail book for most people because this is a book that is a grail. It's it's like Bronze Age grail, and that it is Incredible Hulk 181. It's like, I think this is on everybody's list basically. It is a book that to me is kind of like the big key for the Bronze Age. It's a really great cover. Whether or not you like it as the first appearance or the second appearance or whatever, it is just such a great cover. It's just got so much going on. Like, even the way they put the title at that weird angle, and just actually the title actually doesn't even come on the page. Like, not many people realize this. Like, Hulk actually gets cropped off by the way the angle is, and something about that, it creates that action, that force. And I think it's just such a great cover because all that angle and the way that they're fighting, and I think it's just so awesome. This is, to me, one of the best, action covers. Hulk 181, first kind of appearance of of Wolverine. But I always loved this book. This was another one of those wall books that you'd always see in the shops, and they would always go, "Oh, that's a really great book," and I'd be like, "Oh, it's really great and really expensive, and I can't afford it." But I was super happy when I got this. I got it as a purple label, and that was because even when I bought it, it was still an expensive book, and I was trying to save a bit of money on it and get it for an affordable price. So Hulk 181. Okay, now we're getting into the Silver Age. Okay, so Silver Age, it's like 1960s or like 1956, 58 range to 1969. So Silver Age are just some really great kind of iconic books. Probably one of the most iconic would be X-Men #1. So just sort of a big book from the Silver Age. I actually really love this book. I wish my copy was higher grade. It is really rough. It's actually complete, even though it says a 0.5. It is complete. It's not an incomplete book. It could use like not just a clean and press. It could use like a whole bunch of work. But it is definitely one that is a really great book. Just so much came out of this book. To me, this is the book. This and Fantastic Four #1 are the two books that kind of defined Marvel and really set Marvel as being the new dominant player for comics. So I think, this is kind of like one of those books that everyone would say is like a key or big book for the Silver Age. So that's that one. Now, I normally would show Fantastic Four #1, which you can actually see right there, and #2 and #3. It's like I have all of them. I have the first like almost 10 issues of Fantastic Four. But for me, this book was a bigger chase. I had so much difficulty getting this book that I love it a little bit more than my Fantastic Four #1, which is kind of weird. Fantastic Four #1, much bigger book, but I love this book because it was so hard to get. I had so many times, like I had been sort of screwed over when it came to buying this book so many times, where I just thought I was never going to get it because the price just kept on going up and going up and going up. And I thought, oh man, I'm just going to be priced out of it and I'm never going to get this cool book. So this is Fantastic Four #5. It's the first appearance of Doctor Doom. Just an iconic cover and character. To me, he's like one of the best villains of Marvel. Just really great character in general. And this book, it kept on climbing. It was just, as I said, I was getting screwed over. What would happen is I'd win it in an auction, and they'd say, "Oh, we're not shipping it to Canada," and they would cancel the auction, and I wouldn't get the book. And I was like, "What?" And then I had a few people that said that they would sell it, and then they didn't. It was just, I just had so much bad luck trying to get this book, and it just kept on going up in price. And I was sort of really worried that I'd never get it. So I was super excited to get this book. So for me, the chase was a little bit harder for this one. So in a way, I kind of love it a bit more. So this is Fantastic Four #5. And this next book is kind of one of those books that I think everyone would say, if they have it, they would say, oh, this is one of my top 5 Silver Age books. And I'd never thought I would own this book. This is a book that is a grail. Like, you can say, what are the big grails of the Silver Age? Well, this is the biggest. This is the biggest grail of the Silver Age. This is Amazing Fantasy 15. First appearance of Spider-Man. It's that iconic cover. It is just a book that everybody loves. Mine's like a 3.0. Somebody cut a small coupon, and that's why I got the 3.0 restore green label. Like there's a small coupon cut out, not much, but as a result, it got the 3.0 green label. But still. I think this is one of those books where you'll even notice on my copy, you get this Marvel chipping. Fortunately, my copy, it presents really, really well. Like there's no like major chipping that impacts the look of the book itself. So I was quite happy and excited to get this one in my collection. This is one of those ones where I've made payments over a 6-month period where I just gradually paid it down. It was $12,000 at the time to buy this book. So, it's gone up a lot since then. But yeah, I was super excited to get that one. This one's a kind of a cool one. This is like, to me, like, this is like a situation where I love this character. I always thought Thor was a cool character. A god among the, all these like different characters, to have a god in the characters is kind of interesting. I'm a big fan of mythology, and Norse mythology I think is really interesting. So to have a character that, embraces that, it's kind of cool. But I always enjoyed this cover. Like just the way he's swinging his hammer around and taking out all the bad guys. I just think that's really cool. So this is Journey into Mystery 83, first appearance of Thor. I go for these big key first appearances. And so for me, this was another book I never thought I would actually own, and I was pretty excited to get in my collection. So this is kind of a funny one, next one. And, I'm showing all these really big books. This is not as big as some of the other ones that I'm showing from the Silver Age. But for me, it was a book that I always wanted. And this is my second copy. My first copy is hideous. It's just like the worst thing ever in terms of like the grade and stuff. It's just embarrassing. And I paid a lot for it. I overpaid for it because they knew that I wanted the book. And I should have probably paid about $20 for it in the grade that it was. I paid $50, but this is back in the early 90s. And I was just excited to have the book. This was my first big grail. I later got a better copy, upgraded it because it bothered me that it was so ugly of a book. So this is Star Trek #1. The first appearance of all the major Star Trek characters. You got Spock and Sulu and Captain Kirk, and it has a really great back where you get this, William Shatner photo cover on the back. So just a really great book. I was a big Star Trek fan. I'm a big sci-fi fan in general. I pretty much watched every episode of Star Trek, the original series, like 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 times. I don't know, so many times. Like, I just watch it over and over again when it was on TV. Every time, like, it would come out. For a little while, it would be out daily. Like they play, some episode daily, and I just watch it every time, and I enjoy it every time, even though I had seen that episode many, many times. I was a big Star Trek fan. So this is from 1967, Star Trek #1. Okay, now we're getting into the Golden Age, and there's some caveats that I have to make with this. So these are 5 books, not necessarily the ones that are my actual top 5. And I have to explain why I chose these books in the very first book. So it was really hard for me to just narrow down 5 books from the Golden Age, because recently, like within the last 2 years, I've been really going full on into the Golden Age and really excited about the full Golden Age. And as a result, I have many, many books that I love from the Golden Age. And I mainly love good what's called good girl art. Those are books that have well drawn, kind of a bit sexy, maybe demure a bit, women on the covers. Maybe women in like bondage as well, like, sort of like in peril. So I wanted to get a book that kind of symbolized all of that, and that I really love. I actually really love this book as well. And that's why I say there's a caveat to this, that really I could have showed 20 books instead of this one, because there's so many really great good girl art covers that I have. But this one is kind of a major one, and one that I really love. This is Archie 50, and this is a Bob Montana cover. And it's like the Betty cover. It's like the famous couch cover with innuendo, where she's basically flirting with Richie, Archie, I should say, Richie, with Archie. Just a really great cover. It's a bit of a headlight cover as well. So many things going for this cover. Just really great cover. So this is from 1951. And I love this book. It's just a great Archie cover. To me, I think this would be considered one of the best Archie covers of all time. So this is Archie 50, and it's just a classic example of good girl art. One of the big things that I collect is good girl art from the Golden Age. But the other big thing that I collect, and I'm trying to become the collector for this, because that's my personality. I'd like to, when I get into something, I want to be the best at whatever it is that I'm doing. So in this case, it's collecting a very specific type of comic, which is Seduction of the Innocent. So Seduction of the Innocent are books that are from a specific book called The Seduction of the Innocent that led to the Comic Code Authority, which kind of marked the end of the golden age of comics. So these are all historically significant books. Well, this book that I'm about to show kind of represents that whole Seduction of the Innocent genre of books, but it is not actually a Seduction of the Innocent book. But it is one that I see this book, more than any other book, led to the Comic Code Authority and the end of the Golden Age. So that's why, to me, this is like such a major book. I just love having this book. I wish it was better graded. I wish I had a higher grade, but it is what it is. I'm happy to have it. This is Crime Suspense Stories number 22. It's that iconic decapitation cover. I also collect homages to this cover because I love it so much. I think it's such a great, great book. This is the one where, it was in the Senate hearings, and they basically had a big blow up of this cover. And they asked, is this appropriate? Is this something that you should be showing to kids? And, William Gaines said, that it was done tastefully. It's like, he said the dumbest thing, and the media just went wild after that. And, soon after they had to come up with the comic code, or comics would have been gone forever. So this is such a major cover. It's a Johnny Craig cover too. You can see that right there. Another classic artist from the Golden Age. So just to me is like one of the big covers from the Golden Age. It's like, that classic, pre-code horror, decapitation cover, that extreme violence that led to the end of the Golden Age. So just awesome book. Okay. The next book is another one. So part of me, not only I love my, key books and all that kind of stuff, but books that gave me the most trouble to get, most trauma, maybe even. This book is kind of in that vein where it was almost traumatic, because I had really gone through a whole bunch of things in order to just get this book. What happened was I bought a copy, a better graded copy, like a 6.0, and we had agreed on the price with the vendor. And I made I said, hey, I got to make a payments. I'm going to do it in 4 payments. And I made the 4 payments. And I was like, okay, now I can have my book. And the book had gone through the roof. It had quadrupled in price, and the vendor didn't honor the deal, even after I had made all the payments. So then it took me several months to get the money back. It was just very, very painful. And I could just see the book going up and up and up and up in price. I was like, oh man, I'm never going to get this book. So I went from getting a 6.0, I got this cheaper, but it was not that much cheaper, to getting a 1.0. But this is such a major book. This is the More Fun Comics, number 55. This is the first appearance of Dr. Fate. And I was super excited just to get this book in my collection. I just really wanted to have this book in my collection. It's just such a major key Golden Age first appearance. I like getting these kind of Golden Age first appearances, just that next level of getting first appearances. And it was just such a struggle just to get this book in my collection that it has a little bit more significance to me because of that. So this is More Fun Comics 55 from 1940, exactly 1940. So kind of a great book. Okay. For those who know me, I'm a big Snoopy fan. And growing up, I had Snoopy dolls. I had like all these Snoopy toys. I had Snoopy watches, Snoopy wallets. I had like Snoopy bed sheets. I had Snoopy everywhere. I'd wear Snoopy shirts. I had Snoopy belt. I had Snoopy everything. Even my sneakers were Snoopy. Everything was Snoopy. I loved Snoopy. I loved the Peanuts. I was a big collector in terms of paraphernalia related to Snoopy and the whole Peanuts gang. And I always wanted to have that first comic book appearance of the Peanuts gang. And that is this book, Tip Top Comics 171. Now, sadly, they're not on the cover. They don't get on the cover until much later. This is from, 173. I always say 171. It's 173. This is a very cool book. It's the first appearance of the Peanuts. and it's from 1952. Just a really great comic. You know, you can tell like this book was kind of interesting because it's one of those books where they didn't realize the phenomena that the Peanuts would be, and that's why they're not on the cover. It was only later that they realized, hey, you know, they seem pretty popular. People seem to be buying it because it's the Peanuts. And then later on, more and more covers had the Peanuts on them, and then they eventually, it led to movies and TV series, Christmas specials and Halloween specials, and just a really popular series. So this is Tip Top Comics 173. Okay. Now, again, I said that a lot of these books kind of represent multiple books. And this last one is kind of in that vein as well, where this really could be one of several books. I actually consider them the kind of the golden age trilogy or trio that is kind of like the 3 books that if you really like this character, you got to have these 3 books. Well, this one is just one I want to show. I show this one a lot. This one is probably, if you'd probably guess, if you know me or if you watch my videos, I would show this book because this is the first cover appearance of Wonder Woman. I also have her first appearance, which is right there, like up, right there. Yeah, let's see, right there. There we go. I pointed to the right spot. And right next to it is her first title. So first appearance, first title. And those are the 2 other big books that I think make the trio of books that you really, if you're a really big Wonder Woman fan, those are the 3 big books that you'd ultimately want in your collection. And this one is like, I'm always debating about which is my favorite of either Wonder Woman #1 or Sensation Comics #1. Both are just really great covers for me. I really enjoy this one because she's like, using her bracelets to block the bullets and stuff like that. And it is her first cover. And this is from 1942. It's also her second appearance. Do they say that? Yeah, they say that. So just a really great book. I was super excited to get this one in my collection as well. So yeah. It's again low grade. It's missing the centerfold. The centerfold must have popped. Like a lot of these Golden Age books, the staples were not long enough, and they wouldn't really hold on to that centerfold, and you'd lose the centerfold. So yeah. But it's one of those ones where, though it's a 0.5, it looks really nice, presents really well. So because it's slabbed, you don't even notice that it's missing its centerfold. So it's not too bad. So that has been my 5 favorite through history. So modern age to Copper Age to Bronze Age to Silver Age, and then finally Golden Age. I hope you enjoyed seeing my my favorites from my collection. If you have other questions for me, please put them in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Bye for now.